In today's video, we are looking at my top 10 tinned goods. Hi everyone, welcome back to Wildwood Cottage and welcome back to Wales. It's lovely to have you here. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all having a good week. Today we are back in the kitchen and we are looking again at our pantry series. We've done quite a lot so far. The pantry is progressing well and that'll be coming up next week in next week's video. I'll be showing you from start to finish the new pantry behind me here, behind the door here. The walls are painted, the shelves are done, and I'm starting to move everything back in. So you can follow along with that next week and see how it turned out and see how I've got everything laid out in there. And then towards the end of the series, I'm going to do a video as well about how I have things stored and what I store them in for long-term food storage. So we're going to go through that as well as part of this video series, but that's going to be coming up next week. So we're going to be having a look at it. So if you don't want to miss it, do subscribe, do like, and do hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button. Click it to notifications are on, and that'll tell you when the video comes out. Things that are going to stay on the shelf for a long time. I always make sure I've got a good supply of tins in my pantry. I know that you can do a lot of things from dried, but I also like to have tinned stuff in because the mice can't get it, the rats can't get it, it's got a long shelf life, it's quick and easy if you want a quick meal. If someone comes to the door and they want to stay for tea, you can then get a tin, chuck it in a pan, make a meal, and they can stay and eat a meal with you. If you're in a pinch and you've had a long day in work and you just want to cook something quick, always have tins in. It stops you going to the shop and buying things randomly, stops you going for a takeaway and spending £10 on fish and chips or £15, whatever it is now, and it'll just save you a lot of money. Also, it's a good way of keeping a long-term storage pantry, which we are going to be covering, as I say, in this series. So I've got 10 things laid out in front of me here, and we're going to get stuck in to number one. Number one on my list is tinned fruit. Now, these aren't in any particular order of favourites. It's just what I wrote down at the time. And the first one I've put down is tinned fruit. Now, it's good to have a good selection of tinned fruit because then you can make pies, you can make smoothies, you can add it to yogurt, you can add it to pancakes, you can add it to porridge. It's just a really good thing to have in to get a good boost of vitamins that you won't be getting if you can't get hold of fresh foods. The outlook at the moment is that fresh food is going to be in short supply as we go through the year. So to have tinned fruit means you can still have fruit, still get the vitamins, and still have a good variety of things in your meal. So I've got pineapples in my pantry. I've got a good selection of tinned peaches. These ones were from Lidl, I think, and they're about 34p a tin. I always buy 10 every time I go, just to make sure, or every time I know I'm getting low, I buy a pack of 10 or 12 and put them in the pantry because it's like £3, £4 for 12 tins of peaches. I've also got these grapefruit segments. I also like to keep pears in. I've got raspberries in as well. You can use them in pie fillings if you want to make a quick fruit pie. If you get an invitation to go somewhere, you want to take a quick pie or have a quick pie for tea, if you've got pastry left over, have some fruit in. Raspberries are good to have in, apples are good to have in, peaches are good to have, apricots are good, any type of tinned fruit. I always tend to buy things that are cheap. Tinned peaches you can get in a massive tin in Lidl, and I think it's about £1.09 for a double or triple size of this. But yeah, these are still good value at 33 or 34p a tin. So even if you just got £1 to spend, get 3 tins. And then you've got 3 tins in your pantry that you didn't have before. So I would always have tinned fruit in. Sorry, I keep saying dried for some reason. I would always have tinned fruit in. And then you've always got that extra value that you can add to a cake. The old lady I go and clean for, Peggy, she adds pineapple to a cake. There's a recipe she gave me called pineapple cake. You put it in the bottom of the pan, put the cake mixture on the top, and then once it's cooked, all the pineapple flavours all soaked up into your cake. And yeah, you just get a really nice cake. She buys crushed pineapple. Now that's very difficult to get, and it's rather expensive. It's about £1.90 a tin for crushed pineapple. Buy a cheap one of these for 69p and grind it yourself. Sorry about the flies flying past today. Grind it yourself and make it into like a puree. Put it in the bottom of the pan, as I say. Put cake mixture on the top, and you've got pineapple cake. Mwah! Very nice indeed. So that's the first one, fruit. The next one is beans, peas, and lentils. I know a lot of people, including myself, keep a good supply of dried, sorry, don't know what I'm doing today, dried pulses in the cupboard, but they take about an hour and a half to cook, unless you've got a one pot, and again, still take a while to cook, and you have to soak them overnight. Whereas a tin, you just drain it out, rinse them out, put them in the one pot, put them in your pan, and 20 minutes later, you've got a meal. So I always stock a good supply of tinned beans, peas, and lentils. So I brought with me a selection of chickpeas for a curry or a hummus. Very nice to have in. You could always make it as well into a cake. You can add chickpeas to cake because they have a neutral flavour. So that's chickpeas. Haricot beans. These are good for a tomato stew, or if you want to make your own baked beans. There is a wartime recipe for baked beans. So yeah, I always keep a good selection of them in case I want baked beans. I can make them myself. Black-eyed peas as well. Beans, I keep a selection of them in. There's also kidney beans, which I didn't bring. Bolotti beans, aduki beans. What else is there? French beans. There's so many different beans you can get. And they all add a good variety of texture and flavour to a recipe. Butter beans as well. I like them in a tomato casserole with potatoes. That's very nice. Especially as a winter warmer. You can bung it in your slow cooker and even add it to meat as well, because it adds a good boost to your meat. As I've said before in the dried video, the top 10 dried goods video, it's good to add it to a meat as a substitute if you haven't seen that video. If you're making a beef mince recipe like bolognese or chili or something like that, or meatballs or something, you could then halve the amount of meat that you're using and add lentils or add beans, and you'll still get the same texture. If you use red lentils, dried red lentils, you can't get them in tins, but you can get them dried. They cook very quickly. You can then add it to your casserole, use half the amount of mince, and you won't notice the difference at all, or to the flavour, or to the texture. Just a really good thing to have on hand. So you can also do the same with beans. You could make it like if you've got steak in your casserole or chicken, you could halve the amount you're using and add a different bean, put a butter bean in, which does have its own flavour, oddly enough. And there was a lot of sauces you could make with butter beans as well. There was a butter bean sauce my mum always used to make when I was little, and it was added with pepper and a bit of cream and heated up on the stove, and the butter beans were mashed into a paste, and you served that with beef, and that was really nice. That was a good replacement for horseradish sauce if you didn't have horseradish sauce. So you can also make bean dips and things like that with them. So it's good to have beans on hand. And these ones are only 49p in Lidl. And they're great. You can just go in, if you've only got, say, £5, go and get a selection of 10 different tins for £4.90 and add that to your pantry. So that's really good tip for you. Just to stretch out your meat, because meat's going to get expensive because of the way in which the animals are looked after with the fertilizers and all the rest of it, the shortages that they're predicting are going to come. So it's good to have a good selection of beans in, and then it's good to have a good selection of beans in. And then if you do find you can't afford to buy your usual amount of meat, you can still enjoy the meat, but just add beans to it and bulk it out to get the same flavour. But you get in a lot less meat in the recipe. So it's going to be a win-win for your purse, really, isn't it? The next one is tomatoes. I always keep tomatoes in. Now, plum tomatoes I've never got my head around plum tomatoes, but for some reason I've got a load in the pantry. I think I just picked them up by mistake thinking they were chopped tomatoes. I've got chopped tomatoes as well. Well, I think you get more tomatoes in the tin if you buy them chopped because they're condensed down in the tin. I think you get a lot more tomato, because the plum tomatoes are big, aren't they, in the tin, and you have to chop them down yourself. And I find you probably get half the amount of tomatoes with plum tomatoes as you do with buying chopped tomatoes, and there's only about 2p difference. I think these were 38p when I bought them, and I think they're about 45p now in Lidl. But even still, it's a good price. So yeah, chopped tomatoes and plum tomatoes. You can add them to bolognese, you can add them to casseroles, you can add them to stews, you can add them to curry, you could add it to a lasagna. There's so many different things that you can do with it. You can make salsa yourself, salsa sauce with it. You can just pour out the chopped tomatoes, add some mango, add some spices. You've got yourself a nice salsa sauce to go with your dips, to go with your pizza if you're having tacos or something like that. It's good to add them to wraps, to tacos. So yeah, it's always good to have in. Again, if you're going to spend 48p, pick up 5 when you go to the supermarket and use 1 during the week and put your 4 in your pantry. And that way you've always got a good supply of tomatoes in. Do that each time you go shopping. If you've got a fiver, maybe buy 2 or 3 of them, 2 or 3 different beans, 2 or 3 peaches of the tinned peaches, and maybe something else out of my list that I'm going to show you. And that way you've got £5 worth of stuff. You've got a good variety. You can put a good meal together, and it's not stretched your bank balance too far that you can't afford to do it. So that's what I'd suggest for that. The next one is tinned fish. Now, I keep a good selection of tuna. Again, this is Lidl. I think this was £2.49 for spring water. I don't use oil. I don't have the one in vegetable oil or olive oil because I can't guarantee what the oil is with my rapeseed allergy. So I always keep a good supply of tuna in. I'm very wary of tinned fish because of my allergy, because the fish are fed rapeseed pellets, which is a byproduct of the rapeseed oil industry. So I do have to be careful with the fish because it's farmed. It's not from the sea, it's farmed. So I do have to be careful. Same with salmon as well. I don't tend to eat salmon anymore, but keep a selection of salmon, tuna, sardines, mackerel. So many different types of tinned fish available. There's crab meat, there's octopus, there's shellfish as well in tins sometimes as well. I have seen that. There's fish eggs, which I can't stand. What is it? Caviar or something? Yeah, disgusting. But yeah, get yourself a good selection of fish, whatever suits you, whatever you're going to buy, whatever you're going to use, and just keep a good selection. So again, £2.49. I buy one to use, I buy one for storage when I go shopping. And that way, you've always got something in. The next thing I've got is corned beef. Now, corned beef is great. You can put it in a pie. You can put it into a Cornish pasty. You can put it into a corned beef hash with mashed potato. You can put it into a pie, into a casserole, chop it up into cubes and put it in a casserole. You could serve it on a plate with some potatoes and just slice it up and put it on a plate with potatoes or chips. It's just a really versatile thing to have in, and it's just a good protein for you to have. Now, I know there are some vegetarians that watch my channel. I couldn't really find a substitute for you, to be honest, as a meat substitute in a tin. There's not really that much around. But yeah, for the meat eaters here, corned beef. The other one as well, which is number 6, is spam. You either love it or hate it. It's pork and ham. It's either it's a love-hate relationship. You can fry it. You can fry this as well. You could have fried beef and have it with chips with onion. Oh, that sounds nice actually. And I don't eat beef. I haven't eaten beef since 1986, I think it was, when the BSE crisis started in the UK I think it was 86. Haven't eaten it since mad cow disease. I didn't want to go mad, but I'm mad anyway. So I was in a no-win situation. Anyway, spam. which is pork and ham. You can have it on a sandwich with cheese, on a toasted sandwich. You could have it with fried egg and chips. You could have it fried with a breakfast as well, with mushrooms and tomato and things like that. It's a good boost of meat. You could have it just on a sandwich, sliced up and put with some pickle and some lettuce. You could have it on a salad. You could chop it up finely and pop it on a salad. Many ways you could do it. You could chop it up and put it in a baked potato. My mum used to scoop out the flesh of the baked potato when it was cooked, and you mix it with cheese and a little bit of ham, put it back in, bit of cheese on the top, and put it back in the oven. Oh, it was lovely, absolutely delicious. Haven't made that for ages. Anyway, you can add it to baked potatoes as well. So have spam in, have corned beef in. It's a good thing to have in. It's a good instant meal as well, especially if you're in a power cut. It's a good instant meal to have in because you can just make a sandwich, put a slice out of this on it, slice of the corned beef, bit of lettuce, bit of pickle, and you've got a nice comfort food if you get yourself stuck in a pickle. So that's that one. The next one I've covered a few times, so I'm not going to major on this one. If you're interested in this one, go back and have a look at my other videos. But it's sweetened condensed milk and evaporated milk. Don't be without them because you can make milk from them, you can do cakes from them, you can add it to curry, you can add it to sweets, you can add it to your baking. That's all I'm going to say because I've already covered it. If you want more information, have a look in the top 10 pantry staples. I'll pop a link in the description bar below. But it's always good to have these in, especially the carnation, because you can use it as a substitute for your milk. If you find yourself running low on milk, you can't get to the shop, you can't afford milk, but you've got this in, you can add 1-to-1 ratio. So if you use half a tin of this, use the same amount of water, mix it together, and you can use it in your coffee and your tea. You can also pour it straight into your coffee and use it like that. You can use it on pies. You can use it to make custard, as I said in my last video. So there's a lot you can do with it. And also condensed milk, you can add that to your cakes. You can make custard with it. You can add it to your coffee. There's just a lot that you can do with these. So it's always good to have them in because a lot of recipes ask for milk. And if you're short of milk and you want to make something, then you can always add these instead. So if you want to have a look at more about them, have a look back in my last video, top 10 baking pantry staples, and I'll pop a link in the description bar below. So that's that. The next one is vegetables. Now, I like to keep a good stock of vegetables. I keep them in my freezer. I grow it as well. I buy fresh stuff. But with them saying fresh foods are going to be in short supply, due to the fertilizers more than anything, farmers are having a hard time getting hold of fertilizer. They're even buying the retail fertilizers because of this thing with the Straits of Hormuz. So it's going to be a good idea to have a good selection of vegetables in tins. You can buy dried vegetables if you're interested in that. Do have a look at my top 10 dried pantry staples, link in the description bar below. But it's good to have fresh, again for convenience as much as anything, and also long-term storage because they store for a long time, way past the dates on the tins. The tin dates are just a best before date, which means when it's at its best quality. But it doesn't mean you have to eat it by that date. So if you've got things in the back of your cupboard lurking and they've got a best before date on, that isn't the date it needs to be consumed by. That is just the best quality you're going to get out of that in the tin. I think it's just a con personally, but yeah. So we have spinach puree, great to add into a casserole, great to add into a stir fry, into a soup if you want to make spinach soup. You could make spinach, and my favourite is broccoli and Stilton. You could add the spinach to that. You could add it to a smoothie. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Now, this is a cheaper brand. This is a KTC brand, but you do get 795 grams of spinach. Now, you're nowhere near going to get that in fresh in a bag that's going to last you anywhere near the same length of time as what this is going to last you. It's cooked and ready to use, so it's all ready to go in the tin. So you could just add it into a soup. It says on that it's classed as one of your 5 a day. A portion of this is one of your 5 a day, and you could freeze the leftovers as ice cubes in the freezer and add it to a casserole and a stew if you don't use it all, so it doesn't go to waste. So have some spinach in, great for B vitamins, loaded with vitamin K, loaded with iodine as well, so it's great for you. If there's like a chemical cloud or something like that, eat loads of spinach. It'll boost your immune system and do you the world of good. I have sliced carrots as well. You can get whole carrots, whole baby carrots. I have marrow fat peas. We eat these a lot. I'm down to my last 2 tins, so I need to buy some more. But these are only 30p a little, and these are only 30p a little. So I can get 10 for £3 and think nothing of it really. I've got Green Giant sweet corn as well. I like to keep a supply of sweet corn in because it goes well with a roast and it goes well in a stir fry. So I keep them in. You can also get tinned mushroom, tinned potatoes. You can get tinned garden peas, petit pois peas. You can get tinned mixes of like carrot and sweet corn, or carrot and peas, or carrots, peas and sweet corn. There's so many different things you can buy. You can buy artichoke hearts as well. You can buy vine leaves in tins. There is loads of vegetables in tins. In fact, I think every vegetable you can buy, I think you can get it in a tin. So do keep a good selection, and that'll just boost up your fresh staples, because if you're finding it difficult to find fresh, you've always got the tin to fall back on. And that's what this pantry is all about, really. It's all about resilience, and it's all about being sustainable in your own house. That you haven't got to rely every day on a supermarket. You haven't got to rely every day on going out to the shop to put food on the table. And you haven't got to panic or worry if things aren't in the supermarket and the shelves are empty, because there's so many gaps nowadays. I went to the spa the other day and I went for milk, and they said the freezers were broken, the fridges were broken. Every single fridge was empty. There was no food in there was no meat in there, no cheese, no milk, no butter, nothing. So I was stuck, no milk, couldn't get any milk. So yeah, it's good to have. I mean, if I thought on, which I did think when I was going to church, of mixing up some powdered milk to take with me and taking my own milk even, but I forgot. And then I couldn't get any. And I was like, oh, what are we going to do? So that's why I bought the Evap, to be honest with you. I bought this in the spa. I said, have you got any evaporated milk or dried milk powder? She said, oh, I'll just go and have a look. We found this. I was like, oh, I can make milk with that. I can add this to water and make milk. But somebody else very kindly went to the co-op and got us some, so we didn't end up using it. But yeah, there's always something you can use to substitute something else, so don't find yourself short. The next thing is baked beans. I love to have baked beans in stock. They're great for casseroles, they're great for tomatoey dishes. You can add them into just an ordinary fish and chips meal, into a baked potato. You could add it into a chili as well and just add the tin in and spice it up with your herbs and your spices. Add a chopped pepper or some dried pepper into it, and you've got yourself a chili that doesn't take any length of time to heat up. You can heat it up in the microwave in 5 minutes. So yeah, it's good to have tins of baked beans in because they're a good boost of protein, and they're just a really versatile. Anything you want to add beans to, like haricot beans to, or kidney beans or black-eyed beans, you can add a tin of baked beans and you've already got the tomato sauce on them. So you just need to flavour it. So it's just really good to have them in. You have beans on toast, nice cheap meal. Heinz aren't cheap these days. They went up to £10 for 12 tins when I was buying 12 tins for a fiver before all this started. So they're not cheap anymore, which is why I'm making my own. And also these don't like me. But yeah, find yourself some baked beans. Even the own brand baked beans are just the same beans as what you get in here, except with a different label, probably even packed in the same factory, just with a different label on. So don't be a snob. If you can find a little own brand or Morrison's or Tesco's, pick them up, because they're just as good to eat as Heinz baked beans or Branston beans. So I'd always have baked beans in, because you could make, if you're stuck, you've got a tin of potatoes, a tin of corned beef, and a tin of baked beans. You can make corned beef hash, put an onion in it, and serve it with baked beans. And you've got a nice hearty meal that's loaded with protein. So that's that. That would be a nice filling meal actually as well. And if you're stuck in a situation where you're a bit scared, a bit afraid, you don't know what to do, go and grab a couple of tins out your pantry and make yourself a meal. I mean, potatoes in a tin are about 50p. So you've always got potatoes in then, haven't you? The corned beef. I think this corned beef is a bit more expensive, about £3 a tin. But what you haven't used, you could freeze or make bulk meals and freeze it in the freezer. Right, okay. So the next one I have is pumpkin pie puree, 100% pure pumpkin, this one. I no idea where it came from. Came from my friend. I don't know where she bought it. It says it's 99% fat free, and you could make pumpkin pie with it. You could add it to pumpkin soup. If you don't want to buy fresh pumpkin, you could just add this into a pumpkin soup with some cream, some water, thin it out a bit, some spices. You've got yourself a nice pumpkin soup. Yeah, so have some pie fillings in for making flans and things like that. That's just a really good thing to have in stock. I've got quite a few of them. They seem to have a thing for pumpkin because they've got pumpkin pie spice that they give me as well by the bucket load. But yeah, get some pie fillings in because it's just really handy if you haven't made your own or you haven't got any tinned fruit. Get yourself, if you just want to make something that doesn't take a lot of labour, if you buy the fruit pie filling already done with the sugar, with the syrup, and it's already thickened up, you can make a quick pie or a quick flan, like this one on the front here. Pop some cream on the top, and you've got a lovely, nutritious pie to be able to just eat as and when. So it's always handy. The thing I like about my pantry and the thing I like about having all this stuff is that if somebody calls or you want something quick, it's there. You haven't got to worry about it and think, what am I going to do for tea? It's there. It's ready. You don't have to think about your car breaks down if you're snowed in. Like with me, where I live in the middle of nowhere, 5 minutes away from town, but it's an hour and a half on foot. So in if the car's stuck or a breakdown, like last week, and my car was in the garage, my husband's van broke down at the same time. His van was in the garage. Can't get to the supermarket. What do I turn to? I turn to my pantry. Always puts food on my table. It never lets me down. And it's just so reassuring to know that I can go and shop my own pantry. If you have a look at my pantry video, I'll pop it in the link in the description bar below. I did a pantry tour. You can see just how secure my house is by the food that I have in my pantry. I can shop my own pantry, and that's what this is all about. I am not afraid, and I am not relying on supermarkets to be able to put food on my table because I have a pretty good store of my own that I can go to and say, right, what we're going to have for tea tonight? What can I cook? So yeah, do get yourself some pie filling, that said, and you can make a nice pie if you're feeling like you just want a nice sweet treat. Make yourself a pumpkin pie, make yourself a raspberry fruit pie, make yourself an apple pie, make yourself a pear pie, cut up the pears and make it into a pie. Yeah, it's just really good to have those things in. It's rice pudding. I haven't got any in stock. I'll pop a picture here, but you can get tins of rice pudding. I don't like the Ambrosia one personally, but you can get the own brand one. I think the Ambrosia one's overpriced, over-egged personally, and far too sugary. But the own brand ones are just as good, and you can get them for about 50p a tin, 60p a tin. It's a while since I bought them, but you can get them, and it is good to have in if you just want a snack. I don't like a lot of sugar, so I'm trying to cut back on the amount of sugar because it doesn't agree with me, it doesn't like me. But it's good to have in. Again, if you just want something quick, if you want a quick snack, go and get yourself a tin of rice pudding out the store cupboard. And yeah, you can be able to make yourself a nice quick snack. It's good as well if you want to put a meal on the table for other people. It's ready mixed in the can, ready done. Put it in the oven and cook it through for 10-15 minutes until it's done, and then serve that on the table with a bit of butter on the top and some nutmeg and spices on the top as well. If you add a bit extra milk to it, you might be able to get that nice crusty top on it like my mum used to make. But rice pudding is just a good way of having a good dessert that's not going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of time preparing. All these things really for tins are all about speed and being able to speed up your preparation time, because you've got everything there. It tends to come cooked already and it's easy to cook. I will be doing a lot of this stuff in cans this year once I get my pantry organised and my upstairs pantry, and that'll be easier to keep on top of. So they are my top 10 with a bonus of number 11. I hope you've got a lot out of that. If you're enjoying this video, do like and subscribe. Do hit that notification bell and that'll tell you when I upload new videos. If you're wanting to support my channel further, do have a look at the link for the channel memberships in the link in the description bar below. And it's also next to the subscribe button as well as a button called join. You can go on there and have a look at all the extras that you get for being a member on my channel. Do have a look at my other videos if you're interested in this series, and do think about supporting my channel further. All the things that I find on Amazon will be in my Amazon storefront link in the description bar below as well. And I think that's it for me for today. So I'm going to go and finish my pantry. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you again soon on Sunday for another video. So take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye bye.